Hello, hello. I didn't know that would go immediately into me, but that's what this is all about today. Trying to figure this out and getting feedback immediately. As you see, we are trying to up our game a little bit here. I'm trying to up my game to bring you some more entertaining and better polished, fun live shows. In the past, as you know, I would just talk straight to the camera, and we had a good time interacting there. But I'm trying to do a little bit extra using StreamYard. As you see, the logo up there. I can't change that yet because I'm only on the trial. I'm just testing it out. Eventually, I'll put my own logo up there, which will be way better. One thing I am excited about that I can do is I can show you what we're going to be talking about today, and this will just run through in case anybody jumps in the middle. They will see where we are in the show. So here's all the topics we're going to cover, and I'm going to try to challenge myself in a lot of different tech ways as I'm experimenting with StreamYard. We'll be showing some video clips and sharing screen and yada yada. Whatever. You don't need to know. You probably don't care about all of that behind the scenes of what I'm doing. But please do comment. Even though I'm doing kind of a different system here, you still can communicate. You still can comment, and I'll be able to see what you're saying. I might not get to your questions until the end before I kind of try to integrate them throughout. Yeah, we'll see how we'll experiment a little bit. But something I need to keep doing is figuring out how to keep an eye on the rundown for myself. But yes, Elvis is back in the building. I am so excited that Elvis Andrews has come back onto the team on a 1 year, $3 million deal. Easily the best second baseman available on in free agency. A guy who really brought a lot to the White Sox last year in his relatively short amount of time with us. He was really a team leader. He led the team in a lot of offensive categories, being a guy who is veteran, who many would say past his prime, and probably still is past his prime, but also still a very, very good player. And he just brings that veteran leadership to the team that sadly we are losing with Jose not being on the squad anymore. We're not going to dwell on that so much. It is a bummer to have Jose Abreu not on the team. I cannot gloss over that entirely. Um, but let me see something quickly. All right. Just making sure that I wasn't getting an error message from someone. So we're good. But yeah, Elvis Andrews on the team, his baseball IQ is so high, and he's absolutely a great veteran leader to have on the team to lead by example. And I think he's excited to be on this team of younger players, serving that role as a guy who can really be a mentor to a lot of younger players, but still on a team that's competitive, that's expected to do some good things this year. A team full of talent through and through. But yeah, Elvis Andrews, I'm very happy to have him back. Um, and while I while we were talking about that, I do have to give a shout out to Liam Hendricks, our one of the best, most fun people to watch in all of baseball. Few people attack the sport with such ferociousness as Liam. Of course, he is going to be missing a good chunk of the year. We don't at all know yet how long he'll miss, but due to his dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and he's still been participating in spring training activities. It is really, really cool that he is feeling well enough to be in Arizona, still working out with the guys, even though he's not going to be able to start the season with the White Sox. Of course, nothing is more important than his overall health, his life. So we just can do nothing but cheer him on, wish him the best. He will absolutely be missed, but it's how we are missing him is such a small thing compared to what he's going through. That said, of course, a huge question that people ask a lot right now is who will eventually be the closer for the White Sox. You have to imagine that Ronaldo Lopez is in the lead right now. He was a lot of people's first guess. And I think that's something that the spring will tell us in time. And that might still change week to week, month to month in the regular season. But Ronaldo Lopez, I think, would have the early lead on that. Matt Foster got to close out a game or two last year. I'd still consider him a possibility. And one person that's an exciting name that we missed all of last year who is coming back. He won't be back to start the season, but Garrett Crochet. He is, he went through Tommy John surgery last year. He is still on the road to recovery, but we will see him on the field this year. He probably won't be back to full strength for, I think they were looking at maybe May to be his return, which is super exciting. And once he gets kind of in the flow again, he's a legit possibility to take over that closer spot. The great thing is with the fact that the White Sox, despite the fact that the White Sox have some holes and some question mark areas, the bullpen is still very strong. There's a lot lost with Liam stepping aside for the moment to handle his own issues, but overall, the White Sox still do have a very solid bullpen. And looking at other competitions in spring training, which I love, I've always loved spring training for so many reasons. One, there is that competition of there's 1 or 2 spots left on the team. Who's going to fight hard enough to win them out of the gate? And also, of course, being able to look at some of our youngsters, some of our top 30 prospects that you've never seen play live before, getting a chance to see them. Those are things I love about spring training. But yeah, so one of those competitions, Adam Engel is no longer on the team. He is in San Diego now. So who will take over his spot? Will it be Jake Marisnick? Will it be Billy Hamilton? Will it be Adam Hazley? I think any of those players are legitimate possibilities and guys that bring really good things to the table. I would have to imagine that Jake Marisnick probably has an edge. I think he's a better overall player when you're looking at all the different tools an outfielder needs. Jake Marisnick is probably the most well-rounded person. But Billy Hamilton. Now, we don't know how our new manager would want to utilize that position. We know Renteria really loved having Billy Hamilton on the team for those weird extra innings where you need a very, very fast player. And few people, even at his age, and he's in his mid-30s now, maybe later 30s, mid-30s probably, few people are faster than Billy Hamilton. And really, I'm kind of mostly just bringing this up right now just so that we can play this incredible moment. And anytime I'm going to play a highlight, I'm not sure how quickly we'll get shut down if YouTube will immediately boot us. Hopefully that's not going to happen. But that's part of what this broadcast is all about. So let's bring on Billy Hamilton. Let's hit the wrong button.
Oh, wow. A make-your-own slip and slide for Billy Hamilton.
I guess this is a question mark right now. Are you guys hearing the broadcast and me?
What a play that is.
One or the other?
I mean, it's not like he's protecting himself.
I don't hear him.
Jeez. What a play.
A leaping grab on the warning track. That's one of the best catches we've seen. And
what
honestly,
an
it looked like he was
catch
being
was.
slightly cautious on that run. And at the last second, he totally sold out, and he made the grab.
Well, it's as good as you're going to see, especially given these conditions, as he went slip sliding away through the mud on the warning track and just came up short of the wall head first when he stopped sliding across that track. That is beautiful and a whole lot of fun to watch.
All right. So hopefully you guys were able to hear the broadcast itself, not just me talking in the background. But I'm not really sure. This again, lots of experimentation. Okay, so the biggest question, and good God, what a big question mark it is, and it's breaking news. Also, I said I'd be going live during the offseason anytime there's breaking news, which meant I came on for Andrew Benintendi, and that was it. It was a relatively quiet offseason for the White Sox. But if anybody doesn't know, Mike Clevinger, who is a free agent that the White Sox picked up, a player that when we first signed him, I was super excited about because he's dealt with some injuries, but his upside, his ceiling seemed very high. He was, of course, a murderously good pitcher when he was playing for Cleveland against the White Sox. So Mike Clevinger joins the team, and very shortly after, all of these allegations come out against him from his ex-wife, that he was abusive, that he was possibly child abusive as well. Just nasty, nasty allegations. And then we also find out just as quickly that Major League Baseball said that, yes, we've been investigating these claims. There's an ongoing investigation since the summer of last year. And no, the White Sox were not privy to this information before they signed him. So right off the bat, I was really ticked off. I felt like the White Sox should be able to void that contract because you don't want to be associated with somebody that is doing these things. And again, let's be very honest. At that time, especially, they were just allegations. But still, you would think the White Sox probably wouldn't want to sign somebody that had that cloud hanging over them, even if they were proven innocent. That's just some nasty stuff to have floating around spring training as we're trying to get a new manager sussed out, as we have a whole lot of players that are trying to come back from bad years, off years, injuries. You don't need that on top of it. So I was really hoping the White Sox would be able to void the contract. We never heard any story, any talk that would be remotely possible, which seemed odd to me. But anyway, as of just about an hour before this broadcast started, Major League Baseball has completed their investigation, and they found, again, after several months of interviewing people and of going through thousands of electronic correspondence, emails, texts, all that, that there was no reason to suspend Mike Clevinger. So at the end of the day, we will never really know what happened. Was there abuse and violence going on in the Clevinger household? We don't know. Just, for the sake of everybody involved, I kind of wish that police would have been involved to do a full investigation. But whatever the case, there's a lot of nastiness. And thanks, the broadcast and I was heard. That's good to know. It's hard to be silent when just a video is playing and I'm just sitting here in the corner. I feel like I should be talking, but if you guys can hear the broadcast, then I know I can just stay quiet. Anyway, so yeah, there was a lot of nastiness. And I thought, even if, as we look at the Trevor Bauer situation in Los Angeles, he was suspended 192 games for the same type of activity. I thought even if Clevinger, just like Bauer, if there weren't criminal charges brought against him, he might still get suspended. It seemed like something that the White Sox were going to have to deal with in a difficult way of trying to figure out who is going to be our fifth starter now. And again, it's so stupid to talk about sports when there's these huge criminal allegations involved. That's way more important than the sports side of things. But still, on a practical standpoint, it all has to be considered. I was very surprised that the White Sox didn't go after another starter. I said this back before the allegations came out, that the White Sox needed to pick up two starters, just because, Lance Lynn lost time last year to injury. Michael Kopech, same thing. And he's somebody that has dealt with Tommy John surgery in the past. So even though he's healthy, he's not a sure thing to have a full workload. You can never have enough starting pitching depth. That's for sure. But anyway, as of, like I said, just about an hour before this broadcast, news broke that there will not be any suspensions coming for Mike Clevinger. We know he has not yet pitched this season, this spring training, I should say, for the White Sox. I don't know if the Sox are trying to keep him a little bit distant from the media while the investigation was ongoing. I guess time will tell, and who knows, maybe he'll be suddenly a lot more present out there. But definitely a rough, nasty situation. You hate that this is part of the sports climate world, but honestly, we're talking about real people that have real lives and real problems, and this stuff comes up more often than we'd like to, but it's kind of understandable that it does. It's weird transition from that to anything else, but let's talk a little bit about, a lot of different projections have come out in the last week or two about where these different experts or projection sites think that the White Sox will finish. And I want to take a quick look at a few of them right now. And we will start over at, okay, so I'll be sharing screen. I'm saying this out loud kind of on purpose to let people know all that I'm dealing with right now, so we know what is happening. Okay, so we're looking at Fangraphs right now. And as you see, I don't know why they put the 2022 season on here still in their projections, but if you look to the right, 2023 has Cleveland and Minnesota both with 83 wins apiece, leading the division, a virtual tie with the White Sox just 3 games out. In a 162 game season, I'm actually really fine with this projection. I mean, that is such a minute difference. As we see, look at the difference in the win percentage, which how does Cleveland and Minnesota have a different win percentage with the same record? That doesn't make sense. But hey, that's not my error. That's Fangraphs. It's really just a matter of a couple of wins. Totally changes the game. So I think that's fine. I think that's realistically, I don't know. The White Sox can overcome that kind of a projection. Also, I remember how sad so many people were when Carlos Correa rejoined the Twins, thinking, "Oh gosh, they got him now. They're going to be unbeatable." They had him last year too, and they did not win the division. So Correa obviously makes it a more difficult division, but I'm not really all that scared about the fact that he had rejoined. It would have been better had he not, but we'll take it. Heading over to Baseball Prospectus, things are a little bit more spread out as we see they're projecting Cleveland. By the way, just 83 wins to win the division from Fangraphs. That's really amazing. Just barely be a 500 team and you are in the playoff hunt. So anyway, Baseball Prospectus. I went to the wrong thing. Resharing. Okay, Baseball Prospectus has Cleveland winning with 88 wins. Minnesota is projected around 87, with the White Sox a bit further behind at 78. That's a big shift. That's also a huge difference between Fangraphs and Baseball Prospectus. If we head over to Zips, as we see the chasm growing deeper, 83 wins for Cleveland still. Actually, that stayed the same, except they thought White Sox a distant third place with 74 wins. I keep forgetting. I got to switch over. There it is. Now you can see it too. The White Sox with 74 wins, according to Zips, which is a prognostication system. And then finally, we will head over to something that I'd never heard of before, which is Pro Sports Fanatics. And yes, they have Cleveland winning it all at, not winning it all, but winning the division at 88 wins, Minnesota at 86, and then Kansas City at 81 wins. Where are the White Sox? Well, they have them in fourth place with just 70 wins and 92 losses. And they really only cite Jose Abreu leaving the team as the reason that the White Sox would only win 70 games, lose 92. That is a distant, so far distant from first place. And it's also kind of ridiculous. Also, I love it when this happens because it tends to be that when the White Sox have little expectation on them, they play better. That's obviously something that can't stay, that has to be improved upon because, listen, these are supposed to be championship caliber players out here, MVP type players. They need to be able to handle the pressures of winning it all and doing it year after year. And you could very easily argue that they aren't there yet, but that's okay, especially if people are underestimating the White Sox as much as they are. And on that note, I think that there is some great reason to be optimistic this year. And we'll go into one such thing that I love a lot. Well, actually two, because the first thing I love a lot is this great graphic that my incredible wife made. There I am in the 1950s era logo. And this will be the logo that should be where that little StreamYard duck is at the moment. But here's what I like to take a look at as I'm doing things, I think, a little bit out of order right now. Reasons to be optimistic. We know the White Sox have dealt with injury so much. It is an unfortunate theme over the last couple of years. And so I thought to myself, what if some of these players that got injured and missed a big chunk of time last year just went back to their norm? Not to say that they'd be healthy. People don't play 162 games a year. That just really doesn't happen that much anymore. Let's just take a look at what if they got back up to their normal amount. What does that actually mean about those guys being on the field? And so we take a look at Tim Anderson. From the time he was a regular player to 2021, he played in 85% of the games each year out of 162 games. Last year, he only played in 48.8% of the games. If he just got back to that 85% mark, that would be Tim Anderson on the field an additional 59 games this year. What a big difference that would make. And it's kind of hard to believe that he missed more than half the season last year. Eloy, as we know, he's a guy that the injury bug hits a lot. Same with Luis. But he, on a normal year, only plays in about 60.5% of the games. Last year, he only played in 52. So that's 14 more games for Eloy. And obviously, we hope he does better than just 60% of the games. Luis, and I want it to be fully clear and unbiased, because Luis had kind of the opposite thing happen last year, where he was, even though he was still injured last year, and he's been injured so frequently, he actually played a little bit more than he had previously. He usually plays in about 56% of the games. Last year, he played in 60 and a half. So if he reverted back, we would see him 7 games fewer. Now, again, just like Eloy, we really want to see him way more, up to close to that Tim Anderson level, 80 or so percent of the games, if not more. Yasmani Grandal as a catcher, catchers never really play a huge percentage. I was impressed to see that from 2018 to 2021, he actually did play in 79% of the games that his teams played. Last year was down to just 61%. So we get him back healthy. That's another 29 games. Yoan Moncada, he was very healthy up until last year. If we got him back to his previous levels, that would be a benefit of 38 more games with him on the field. Now, Yasmani and Yoan are another issue altogether when it comes to the fact that they had terrible years last year. Obviously, you could say that injury had something to do with it, but even when they seemed to be healthy, we really did not get them playing the type of baseball we expect from them. Just terrible offensive years. But first off, Yasmani Grandal has had a great spring so far. The lack of infield shifts is definitely something that's going to help him. Very excited to see what Yasmani is going to do. And I haven't been excited about Yasmani Grandal for a while, but he's having such a great spring that I think we might see a comeback player of the year in Grandal. Moncada, to me, this is his make or break year. It's very, very much up in the air what he is going to contribute to the club. He is a great defender, and even when he's not swinging the bat well, he doesn't bring it into the field. He continues to play really strong defense. So I think this is a time that maybe Moncada, either he comes around and plays like an all-star again, or the White Sox try to just dump salary and trade him for next to nothing, unfortunately, because that's kind of where he's at. He's very expensive at this point, and he's got to contribute, especially because Jake Berger is having a good spring and he's breathing down Yoan's neck, trying to get that playing time. If Jake continues to play well, we might want to keep him on the team, and he might push Yoan out. It's one of the great problems about having a team full of MLB ready players, MLB ready stars. Also, as you see, I'm just looking at offensive players here. But if we were to take a look at some of the players on the pitching side that missed some time last year that we hope to get back, Lance Lynn only started 21 games last year and only threw 121 innings. He's a guy that has led the league in innings pitched in the past. He had that knee surgery, and when he came back from that surgery, he was outstanding. Foolish Bailey, who is one of the great YouTube baseball analysts, he picked Lance Lynn as being one of the top 5 pitchers to watch next year. So there's reason to believe that we'll get a lot more out of Lance Lynn than we saw last year. He did finish the year very strong. Aaron Bummer, unfortunate name. He has dealt with injuries a lot in his life. And last year was no different. As a reliever, he only threw, I think it was 26 and 2/3 innings. So about 27 innings pitched in 32 appearances, less than half a season. And he's a guy with great life on his pitches. So if we do have a full healthy season out of him, which he's not fully healthy yet even, but we should be able to get him back for most of the year. I mean, he'll at least start early in the season. Hopefully he stays healthy. That'll be a big boost. As mentioned earlier, Garrett Crochet missed all of last year. So anything we get from him is a bonus, but he should be healthy for most of the year. And then also Dallas Keuchel is not on the team this year. And that should be a big help for the White Sox. As you see there, he started 8 games for the White Sox, put together a record of 2-5 with a 7.88 ERA. I think one of the most impressive stats of all of last year is that Dallas Keuchel actually won 2 games with the White Sox. He had such a miserable year that it seemed that we wouldn't be competitive in any game that he would start. He did not last long into games. And it really became that thing. 8 games, 8 times through the rotation, where Dallas coming up would be, after those first 2 wins, an automatic loss for the team. So I think, not to pile on a guy that had a terrible year and was dropped by us, but having him off the team would be and will be a big help for the White Sox going forward. I wanted to take a quick look at some rule changes just quickly. And let's see, where do we want to start? First off, let's make some predictions here. I guess we'll go to this because this is so there's a pitch clock now, helps the pace of play. It should help. The guess is that it's going to help pitchers more than batters because it forces pitchers to stay in a rhythm that's good for the muscle memory. Batters, it shouldn't affect them too much overall, but pitchers might be better off. Something weird, though, that happens. So if a pitcher doesn't throw the ball in time, doesn't start their windup in time, the play is called dead, and a ball is awarded to the batter. However, if the batter isn't ready, an automatic strike is called against him. And this happened in such unbelievable fashion just recently, actually fittingly, on the first game of the spring training. So we're going to take a look at this. And unfortunately, the situation was so bad, and I think it was handled poorly. So let's take a look at this play. In this game, the bases were loaded and there was a full count. So it's, I mean, exactly out of a movie, a Hollywood movie of the most intense type of situation. And let's just take a look at what happened.
Good day at the ballpark here in their first Grapefruit League game. Now time called. Conley took too much time. He's out. He didn't have his eyes on the pitcher by the 8-second pitch mark on the pitch clock. And that's going to be the ball game.
Conley was headed to first. He thought it was going to be a penalty for a ball 4. Oh, my goodness.
The game.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. I wish I could do picture-in-picture. Oh, actually, I can do this. There we go. Yeah, because if I put myself there, I cover up the pitch clock. So you see down there in the corner, which is a little hard because it's very sun-bleached.
8-second pitch mark on the pitch clock.
On the replay.
And that's going to be the ball game.
The rule, as they have it, is at the 8-second mark, the batter needs to be in the batter's box looking at the pitcher, ready to go. Now, here we can see there's 9 seconds on the clock here. At the 8-second mark, right here, the batter is in the box, and he's pretty much ready to go. And technically, by letter of the law, by the way the rules were first written, technically, he's not looking at the pitcher. He's not engaging with the pitcher, so he's not ready. But look at the catcher. The catcher is standing up. He's still making signals to the pitcher. As you see, there's a thumbs up. They're trying to connect. The batter is not slowing down the pace of play right here. At the 7-second mark, that's where the umpire calls it. That's automatic strike 3. You're out. But the batter, this is why it didn't go right, because the batter was not slowing down the pace of play at all right there. He was really, really so on the edge of being accurately in there on time. And for a game to end like this is ridiculous. Yes, it's spring training. It doesn't matter. And it absolutely doesn't matter because it's spring training. But I really think and hope that this is also spring training for the umpires. And it's spring training of sorts for the rules writers to see, oh, okay, well, this was something that we tried to do. And we can see that it doesn't make sense. The rules are always supposed to make sense. It's for the improvement of the game. The rules are always about making the game better. And there's no way that having a game end like this was better, especially when the batter was in the box, really settled in, and he was not delaying the game at all. So that's something that has to change. It just absolutely has to change before the game begins, before the season begins. Another rule change, I'll head over here. It's not really a rule change. It's that the bases are bigger. As you see here, they used to be 15 inches by 15, and now they're 18 by 18. And I'm going to admit a little bit of ignorance right here. I always thought the baseline being 90 feet meant from home plate to the front of the base. Probably can't see my cursor, but to the front of the base. I thought that was 90 feet, but it's actually to the back side of the base. And so since the backside of the base is still 90 feet from home plate, you're expanding the size of the bases. That actually means the distance from home plate to first base is 3 inches shorter. All the bases are a little bit bigger. So that means the baselines first to second and second to third are each 4.5 inches closer, so, I mean, people might be thinking that all sorts of stolen base records are going to break. I actually do think some will break. I think the amount of stolen base attempts league-wide will break, and maybe it'll be shattered on a month-to-month basis, most ever in the month of April. But I really don't think that we're going to see any Vince Coleman like numbers again, where people or Ricky Henderson, where people are stealing 100 bases in a game. I think the upper echelon base stealers are still going to end up in the ballpark of 40, 50, maybe pushing 60, but nothing extreme. I think the big difference we're going to see will happen with those guys that have above average speed, maybe not elite speed. And Leary Garcia, I think, is a perfect example looking at the White Sox. And he has already been enjoying the fact that the bases are a tiny bit closer to each other. And in this game of inches, as baseball is always considered, these are inches that are going to swing the other direction. So I think it's obvious to say that the amount of attempts will go up. I think the stolen base safe percentage, the successful percentage, is going to go up quite a bit as well. And those mid-tier guys that maybe they aren't very toolsy, but they're pretty fast. Well, maybe this is enough of a difference to make them feel a bit more elite, at least from their speed category. And if they still have to get a good read, it's a really weird thing with how few times the pitcher can throw over to the base. That will also aid base runners getting larger leads. I think it was Darren Jackson just a couple days ago. He mentioned that with that pitch clock on top of it, if the pitcher is still holding the ball and they're getting down to 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, that pitcher or that runner is probably going to know, well, he's probably not going to check over here again. He's got to deliver. So that'll allow them to get an even bigger secondary lead. I do think that we will see records broken league wide with amount of stolen bases attempted this year. And I'm pretty excited about that because, my favorite player growing up was Lance Johnson, center fielder for the White Sox back in the 90s. He was a base stealer. Loved Tony Phillips. Any aggressive base runner is a lot more fun to watch. And there is a chance, I would say, at fewer double plays, just because how often do you see a double play happen where that guy thrown out at first is just barely thrown out? Maybe 3 inches of more base, limiting that run is going to be enough to make the difference. I want to take a quick look also at the team as we're constructed right now. This is a graphic I made for a video back in 2021. And this was looking ahead at who we had under contract and for how long. First off, I think you already do have to be a little bit optimistic about our team compared to this playoff-bound team, where our designated hitter going into the season was Zach Collins. Our right fielder was Adam Eaton. So there's already a couple of big upgrades there. Of course, I at least will always still miss Nicky Two Strikes there at second base. But looking at this year, now we've got Andrew Benintendi out there in left field, and we have him signed through 2027. Luis, just to explain how this is read a little bit, his contract as it's written goes through 2025, but there are team options for 2026 and 2027. Oscar Colas, this is assuming that he starts the team on the major league roster and plays from here on out, which is not a guarantee. But if that happened, we would have him under contract, under team control, I should say, through 2029. If he plays in the minor leagues at all, the White Sox aren't really big on that service time manipulation. But if he starts in the minor leagues and plays just maybe 2-3 weeks down there, White Sox could actually control him through 2030. He has already gotten a nice size signing bonus internationally. So he's definitely taken care of. And I wouldn't be surprised. The White Sox have had a great history of locking their young stars up, as we see. So it's not surprising. It wouldn't be surprising at all to see some sort of an extension signed with Colas. Yohan Moncada, 2024 is his last year under his normal contract. There is an option for 25. Tim Anderson, this is his final guaranteed year. Actually, last year was his final guaranteed year. The White Sox picked up an option this year, and they have an option for next year as well. Elvis Andrus, just a 1-year deal there. Andrew Vaughn under team control through 2026. This is Yasmani Grandal's final year under team control. Shouldn't say team control, last year on his contract. Additional reason that he might want to play a little extra hard and head to free agency having had a great year. And then we have Eloy down there. He still really does want to play the outfield. He will get some outfield reps, but we have good outfielders, which is great. Luis and Benintendi are each former Gold Glovers, and Oscar Colas is a potential 5 tool. maybe four-tool-ish player. So he's going to be an upgrade over Eloy. I like the idea that Eloy is pushed to the bench, not to the bench, to designated hitter, not just to hide him, but just because there's really good players that are going to push him into the designated hitter role. Anyway, his regular contract goes through next year with options on the following 2 years. Again, this is just kind of nice to see every so often, to see where the White Sox should be developing talent, should be looking. Obviously, second base and catcher, really, as it stands, as it hopefully will stand, are the only two areas of concern that the White Sox should be looking to develop. The White Sox do have some talented, underrated players in the minor leagues, I believe. But right now, the way people often talk about the White Sox having a terrible farm system, well, this is why. Because so many of those minor leaguers are playing on the team now and playing major roles, and they're going to be part of the team for a long time out, allowing the White Sox to take some time. I shouldn't say take some time, but allowing players to develop in the minors. And I really am still excited about Yolesky Cespedes. I think he has some big-time, big league potential. So that will be interesting to see how that shakes out. Let's take a quick look at what else did I have coming up. I don't think too much, actually. That might be about it. Last time I was chatting with you, I mentioned that if we didn't get Elvis Andrus, that I hoped that we would get Josh Harrison back. Josh Harrison, I believe, went to Philadelphia. And I did say in that broadcast that I would put together a highlight reel for Josh Harrison. Now, this is not to be bummed that we don't have him on the team anymore, because I think we're very good having oh my goodness, I'm tired right now. I've been talking for about 40 minutes. I love that Elvis Andrus is on the team. I love what he brings to the table. But I am going to miss the energy and the crazy disregard for his own health that Josh Harrison brought to the team, brought to every play. So as promised last time, here is a Josh Harrison video, a highlight reel that I cut together to close out this broadcast. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Leave comments. Let me know what you want to see. Did you like this style of broadcast where I actually can bring in graphics and whatnot? I'm still learning it, but it went pretty well, I thought. Anyway, enjoy this broadcast or enjoy the highlight reel, and I'll see you on the next one.
He snapped at a ball that was outside. Now Harrison going out. Harrison leaping over Andrew Vaughn. Harrison made the catch.
He comes out. He can see Andrew Vaughn coming. He leaps over him. And boy, am I glad he's okay.
I don't know how he athletically made the second jump, Steve, because watch the landing here. He's barely on the ground.
Yep.
Here.
Well, he has to get up, because if not, he's going to have a knee taken out.
Line to second. Harrison flies to make the catch. The first shutout of the year for the Sox.
Went away from people. Choppers hit the bases. Everything worked well. And the Sox even the series at 1-1.
3 home runs for the Pirates.
Oh, Josh Harrison. Come on now. That is an absolute outrage.
This is absolutely Josh Harrison night. It's one of the better plays you'll see, because he didn't protect himself. It was a flat-out dive. He threw it right on the money. And this is highway robbery. Just a great play. Josh already has a 2-run homer to his credit in the second inning. And now this.
Loop to short right. And Harrison gets out there. What a play by Josh Harrison.
Times with Josh this year. There aren't a lot of second basemen make these plays better than he does.
And this on the ground up the middle. It's Harrison sliding. Oh, that's a brilliant play. He had no business making that out at first base.
He was not set up, as you can see, on the third base side of second, yet he goes across, and it was the slide and the throw.
2-2 to Quan. Line caught by Josh Harrison. And the White Sox hang on.
Great play to end the game in an absolutely huge win for the Chicago White Sox.
Fair ball, diving stop, Josh Harrison, and he got him at first. What a play.
was Ryan Addington on the call, and it appeared to be a fair ball all the way. Fortunately, playing Walker as a pull hit at time. That's just a great effort by Josh. He's played all over the infield.
Dylan Cease back to the mound, and a quick chopper, second base side. Rosario is out. Oh, what a play by Harrison. That is a wild effort by 5 over there at second base.
Well, that's about as good as it gets, because that's the only way you're going to make this play at first base. Rosario is a burner. He can get down there in a hurry, bare hand, flip, nice pick on the other end, and they get him by a half step.
Harrison may have done it. Jose's on his way. It's finally over. The Sox have done it. 7-6. What an adventure.
What 2 nights for Josh Harrison. He came through with a base hit in the 10th inning. He wins it with a base hit here in the 12th.